Hi everybody, welcome back. My name's Charles and this is my project camper that we picked up and drove home in mostly one piece last weekend. Something's missing. I don't know when this happened. I didn't feel anything. I didn't hear anything. I don't know how we're going to fix that mess. We're definitely hurting on this side. I thought I'd bring you along and show you what we've done so far. You can probably tell I have a power hookup already. It was actually the next night. It was just one of those things that I just really wanted to get it done. So you can see out here we have, I've got to get some clips on the PVC to hold it in place. They're inside, I just haven't screwed them in yet. But you can see we have a 30 amp RV outlet wired in. It goes down into the wall, into the breaker panel, and there's a single pole 30 amp breaker there. And then the trailer itself is plugged right in. Now the only thing missing out of this is I actually do have a surge protector I just need to plug in. And I haven't done that yet, but we're gonna do it. We'll do a quick walk around, I guess, and we'll show you kind of where everything's at, what it's gonna need and what it doesn't. Okay, so the first things first is we do have some issues like this we have to address. Now obviously somebody tried sealing this up, but they did a pretty poor job of it. And I ended up having to zip tie this part shut just because it was flopping all over. This up here, it really needs like a new paint job or something, and then a new sticker. Like, I don't know what it was made out of or why it looks the way it does, but it is the way it is. Likewise, there's really not a lot else. It's obviously a project. It's not something that's really worth a ton. It was relatively inexpensive, $2,000, and definitely is going to need some work for it. Now, for example, things like this, where the window is actually a little bit loose and needs to be adjusted. It will actually close all the way. It's just, it's very cold and very temperamental. I haven't played with the rest of the windows yet, but that's the thing. Now this is all the slide out area, and we'll get back to that in a minute. So again, on the corner here, you can see that this is, the wood is still solid, but you can see this is kind of starting to peel away. So there's a lot of body that needs to be figured out. Hi, kitty. And things like that, but everything else does work, so that's a plus. You can see somebody taped over here with something, basically the same sort of issue that was going over there. Somebody basically just put tape over here to try to counter that. Now when it comes to these jacks, the stabilizer jacks, I've got this one down because it was really windy the other day, and because of that, I didn't want it to like roll over. Now this is the only one that's got a hex style head on it, whereas the other ones, these are an older style, I think, or a different style at least. They usually take a hook that goes through here and then the whole thing spins. The downfall with that is I don't have one of those hooks. I ordered one. We'll see if it gets here. I tried getting creative with a J hook and a drill, and that doesn't work. So anyway, 3 of these are not like the other one. So I have a feeling that one was probably broken at some point and replaced with a newer version, and these aren't. You can see up underneath, though, we have some bolts and things. I would like to just order the new versions, and then that way I can just use a drill with a socket and call it good. Otherwise, everything else is, it's what you would expect a $2,000 camper to be. We can come back down here, and if you'd missed the rest of it, this is kind of the aftermath of what we ended up with by the time I got home from the mess. Half of that shoe is just gone. Like, I really don't know what happened. You can see, though, I threw a jack under it real quick just to reapply the pressure onto this axle to take some of the stress off of this one, because it's the only one over here holding this up. All right, let's go inside for a minute. Now it's cold in here, but we do have power. See, power. Power's cool. Now, the one thing I'll show you, though, is down here, this is the in and out switch for the slide out, and I've got nothing here. Now, when I say I have nothing here, I mean the switch is doing nothing. I do have power to the fuse. I have power to the lines coming into the switch. The black and green are for the motor in and out. I'm not sure which one's which. Red is a constant power, and the whites are the ground. So the way this switch works is that when you flip the switch, it basically has a little toggle lever that jumps the green or black to power. So in theory, if we jumper 2 of those, we can bypass the switch in the event that it's actually the switch that's bad. I can also do it by undoing the wire nuts, but I'd rather not do that just yet because this is wiring. Wiring is not bad. If I need to replace a switch, I can do that by just unplugging this and plugging a new switch in instead of having to unwire everything. Now I don't know if the switch is bad. Like I said, I've got power to the fuse box, I've got power to here, but I don't know anything else about this sort of system, so I'm not sure where to go from there. What I do know though is that I did take a peek, and we'll go look again here in a second, at the underside of this camper. Now we are in the balmy 20s when it comes to temperature, so it is 23 degrees right now, so that's awesome. I do want to show this real quick while I'm over on this side. And if we come down here, you will see right here, here it is. This is a 3/4 inch hex head, and this rod is what goes through. If we come down here and look, that goes over, and you can see right there with the green whatever it is over there, that is the motor for the slide out. And then this is the manual for it. Unfortunately, I don't know how the manual operation of this works. So a little backstory is that a lot of these units have a brake on the motor or the motor assembly, and you have to release that so that way you can manually move the slide in and out. Now I've looked at this motor a little bit, and I've tried zooming in, and I can't seem to find a brake. But that is my next challenge, is to go in and see if we can find something like that. But it's 20 degrees out, it's very cold under here, and the last thing I want to do is crawl under on the very rock hard ground, quite literally, and play with that. But it is something that we do need to do at some point, assuming that it's not the switch. So right now I'm going to find a jumper wire of some sort so we can try to jumper that switch and see if we get any response from the motor. It could be the motor's failed, it could be something in the wiring between the switch and the motor. Some models I've looked up seem to have like a relay in between. I'm not sure where it would be in this one because I can't find any information on something this old. So we're going to have to do some digging, but for now we can at least test and make sure that the switch is in fact not the culprit by jumpering the wires. If we jumper the wires, nothing happens, we know it's after the switch. So I'll go find some wire and we'll be back. Alright, so we're back inside, and I have a jumper wire. This is just a little piece of 12 gauge that I had kicking around. So what we're going to do is we're going to unhook the switch, because that's very hard to do, and I guess we're just going to shove this thing in the hole, see what happens. So okay, now again, the center on this is the red wire, and that is supposed to be constant positive, and then one of the ends is our motor. Nothing there. And nothing there. So as you can see, we had nothing happening there, no clicks, no nothing, which means that the voltage just isn't getting to the motor one way or the other. So either the motor's bad, something in the wiring is bad, loose connections, bad connections, or maybe there really is actually a relay between here and there and I just need to find it. But we'll hold off on that for now because it's really cold out. So we'll be back when we get a little bit better weather and can go crawl underneath this thing. So yesterday I did test the switch. I got nothing with that. I do want to point out that I do have a battery hooked up. A brand new, fully charged Group 24 deep cycle battery. I actually went and picked it up yesterday. So a rookie mistake is that, and I found a video that I'll link to somewhere, do the thing, something. I run this thing on shore power, right? This camper's been sitting out here the whole time on shore power. So it's plugged in. And now you would think that plugging into a 30 amp shore power outlet would be plenty enough to power everything in here, including a slide out. Maybe it is, but I've also found vague references to a battery or not battery. A lot of posts say as long as you're plugged in, it shouldn't matter. Other posts say it does matter. And I found a post yesterday, I think it's My RV Works or something. I'll find it and I'll link it. But he gave a good analogy as to why you need the battery hooked up, even if you're on shore power, as like a buffer. So if you think about the battery as a capacitor, that's where all your bulk is held. And then when you hit the switch, it's drawing off of the battery more than the shore power. The shore power is basically just more keeping the battery up, but you're actually drawing more off the battery than the shore power. And it does make sense as far as that goes. So last night, even though there was no battery in here, last night I went and here's the battery caps. I went to the store and I bought a brand new battery. Came home, hooked it up, still nothing on the switch. Now I don't know if it's the switch. I did finally figure out how this switch works. I put a diagram here, but basically the way it works is that your two end poles are your motor leads, and the motor just has two wires to it, a positive and negative, or a negative positive. Basically, the switch is toggling between different grounds to different poles on the outside to reverse the polarity of the leads going to the motor. It's just a simple forward or reverse motor, and that takes care of that part. That said, still have nothing to the motor. Now, I haven't been able to test the motor. I actually need to get a helping hand or put my camera on a tripod and try to figure out how to hold the switch down or jumper the switch in the right way to make so that it would send power to the motor so I could test the motor. But we'll get around to that when it gets a little warmer. Today has been a little warmer though, and I want to go show you what I started to do outside in the, well, it's almost 40 actually. So I mean, it's kind of a heat wave. It's actually 50 in the trailer. I did have the heater on this morning. All right, before I get to that, let me run over here and I'll show you real quick, just so you don't think I'm lying. Brand new battery, brand new, fully charged, full voltage, and then some. Now, we mentioned about this. Oh, Kitty's back. We mentioned about this under here, and that's the manual control for the slide out. And everything that I had mentioned talked about counterclockwise to rotate the slide out. However, I believe the counterclockwise would be if you were on the other end inside the frame. Because I was trying to push it counterclockwise yesterday, and I was coming over and I was looking behind the trailer, and I'm looking going, nope, it's not coming out. Must be and I was thinking that maybe the seals were sticking to the side. So when it tried to move out, it was sticking and then it would spring back. Turns out, no. So I came out this morning thinking maybe if it's above freezing temperatures, it'd be better and it wouldn't stick. So I have my 1/2-inch breaker bar, and I have a 1/2-inch deep well impact socket that is still stuck on the end under here. And just for kicks, I tried turning it the other way. And it actually moved and didn't spring back, so I turned it a couple more cranks, and the slide out is actually coming out. Now, I did try running my impact on it, which does not work. So before we run down to a regular ratchet, I'm going to try a regular drill. Yeah, there's just not enough juice. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's finding just enough resistance. But let's go with a regular ratchet. And as you can see, so let's come over here now that I've got it started to work, and let's go take a peek. And as you can see, it is slowly starting to slide out. Now, when I say slowly, I mean very slowly, and it's going to take a lot of cranking to get to it. But as you can see, our slide out is working. All right, we have successfully extended the slide almost all the way. I just figured I would show you real quick the way that I found makes this the easiest. Again, maybe it's because it doesn't have a lot of lubrication or something, but it makes it very hard for the drill or the impact even to turn this thing. What I found by doing is using a couple of extensions. It allows me to use my breaker bar all the way out without having to try to get a ratchet in here. That's especially important once there's another wheel on here. Right now, it's easy to get a ratchet in here by hand and try to do it, but it is, you know, you're talking a much smaller length of leverage. So by using these extensions and then getting this out here, I can quite literally just circle this around just like this. Now it is moving fairly easy, and I think that's it. Let's walk around to the side, go admire our handiwork. Look at that. We have a slide out, and it's all the way out. It is pretty even as well. I did measure it, so that's good to know. Everything's all out there. I do have a little bit of gunk up there that we have to go play with. But in the meantime, we're going to plug the trailer back in because we had that unplugged, and I'll get back to that in a second. In we go. So I apologize for the light, and wow. Okay, well, that is something I gotta fix. So yeah, we're 40 degrees in here. I'm gonna turn the heater off though, just so that way you can hear me. And we're gonna come over here. Now, I knew there was gonna be something going on over here. Wasn't sure exactly what. I found one thing. We'll have to figure that out. But, I mean, for now, for the foreseeable future, I mean, we're not moving this again. So this is gonna stay this way in the foreseeable future. So there are some things we have to fix and some things we have to get to and clean up, including the carpet that I'm standing on. But cool, the slide out's very secure. It's level, which is also nice. Now there's not 7 people sitting over on it, but it does sit where it's supposed to go. Assuming the power still works. Yep. So there we go. Let's turn around here and take a look. There we go. A lot more room. Obviously I need to clean the carpet and I need to fix that. But as I was saying, this is a, well, you know what, let's just have a sit down. So as I was saying, this is a Lippert through frame slide. And it's a rack and pinion style. And so instead of the racks or anything being on the walls where they come through this way, it's all done on the frame or under the frame, through the frame. Now, one of the things with these slide outs is they tell you that, at least most of the more modern ones and the different styles, there are a couple different styles. I'm not an expert. You'll be able to YouTube those on your own if you have a different style than this. But a lot of the motors on those have a brake on the back or a release that you need to engage or disengage in order to get the ability to manually push the slide out without having to worry about damaging anything. Basically, when there's power or current still engaging in that motor, it locks it in place on a lot of those models. And because of that, you need to disengage the release so that way when you're manually cranking this out, you're not fighting against the motor being in an engaged position. This particular one, from everything I have found, does not have that. All the master manuals for this particular style, it's really cool. I've never had one of these. So, all the manuals that I found for these, Lippert actually says there is nothing to worry about when it comes to disengaging the motor. Have at it. Now, I did disengage the battery, and as you saw, I had unplugged power to the camper. That way, I knew for a fact that there was nothing that could be holding me up because I don't know the state of the motor. I don't know the wiring. Doesn't seem like we have power to it because the switch doesn't work, but you never know. Well, now that we've got the slide open, what are we going to do now? So we still need to figure out the electrics for the slide. I would like to get that taken care of. Again, it could be the switch, it could be the motor. I don't see any wiring really in between the two. So until I can get some better weather and a helper to help diagnose and troubleshoot continuity between the two and things like that. It could be the switch, which I've ordered a new one. It could be the motor, and again, I think I found some motors that are supposed to be kind of a direct replacement for this for about 80 bucks or so. Hey, a mirror. We have a mirror. So, I was going to say, there's a dude over there. And so that we're going to take care of at some point, but for now, it's not like this needs to go in and out right away. This just needs to stay out from where it is. So we got some cleanup to do. We got to get this board knocked back in. It's that popped out for the slide. I think it was just a little bit caught. And then we've got some little, wood splinters to clean up and vacuum this floor up and things like that. And then it's just going to be little things after that. I'd like to replace all the outlets. No big deal there. They're just kind of old. I'd like to get a new thermostat because, this thing just screams late 90s, right? Some of the stuff in here, I don't know what they used for. And, obviously to each their own. But before I go, I want to leave you with this. This is the original radio and cassette player. If we put this on tape, it actually does work. I don't know if you can see it in there. Oh my God, it works. Oh, that's awesome. Speaker. Now, do we get a speaker up front? We do. 2 of them. That's awesome. It works. That's freaking awesome. Now, I'm not going to leave it on. I don't want to get YouTube to copyright strike me or whatever. It even has an auxiliary connection, but I think that's going to be back in here somewhere. So your guess is as good as mine. Can you guys see any connections? Because I got nothing. I can't see nothing. Maybe up here on the top. But anyway, that's it for now. We got the slide out working. I'm going to go ahead, turn the heater back on so that way I can come back out later and it won't be 40 degrees. It'll be 50. And thanks for watching. Catch you next time.